Hello and welcome everybody back to round 2 here. Can we make it pay off or will we just blunder? We saw in the last round the weakness of not having a copy of Mystic Sanctuary in your deck. Of course, this mana base is really messed up. It's really difficult to support both Esper Charm and Supreme Verdict and also still hitting enough island sources from Mystic Sanctuary, and it exposes us to Boil and all kinds of terrible things, but regardless, it might still be worth playing at least one copy. I think the 4th island here, for example, is expendable. But yeah, let's save some of that analysis until the end, where maybe we can have some specifics on the deck and how I might tweak it going forward. If you are interested, by the way, in a deck list, then go ahead and check out match 1. I talk way too long about the deck list. Regardless, I will see you guys in the games. We have the match. On the play. Love it, love it. Playing against Argon Platypus with a hand that has the colors that we most likely need. We might have some trouble casting an Esper Charm if we, say, fetch for a Hallowed Fountain with our Flooded Strand and don't draw another fetch land to get a Watery Grave, but regardless, we have a path. We have turn 2 interaction. Field of Ruin is baring its ugly teeth here with our Archmage's Charm in hand, but you know what? We'll deal with it. We'll probably draw a 4th land by the time we get to Archmage's Charm. Mana. 3 lands, I should say. I mean, that's the reason why we play 25 lands. There's some crazoids who go as far as to play 26 lands for especially this reason. It's because, especially Esper Draw-Go never, ever wants to miss a land drop. Even far into the late game. Although I will say, we, in the last match, drew a whole swath of lands. It was pretty embarrassing. That does happen, though. Playing against a Breeding Pool deck. Is this Amulet Titan, perhaps? No, it's second fetch land. Doesn't really rule out Amulet, but I guess this is likely to be a blue control deck. So that's not bad news, considering our hand is pretty good against control. We have 2 dead removal spells, but we also have Esper Charm and Archmage's Charm and Remand. These 3 cards are all excellent against what our opponent is doing, and of course, we hit our colored source on time here for both Archmage's Charm and Esper Charm. It's exactly how we drew it up. Don't know what else you would be expecting. If our opponent is jamming a Growth Spiral here, we might consider remanding it, so our opponent can't... I don't know, actually. I'm not sure there's anything that we even care if our opponent does at 4 mana. Let's see, what colors is this? Rug. We're playing against... I don't remember the name of this color combination. I remember when it was just called Rug. What is it? Teamer? Blue, red, green. Okay. So we might have to keep in mind the Ramanop Excavator to go along with what our opponent is doing. They already played a land this turn, so I'm really tempted to just go ahead and path this. Or we could remand for value. Do we want to remand here? We could also use this turn to draw 2 cards with Esper Charm, and that's not a bad option. I don't know if we care about this Excavator being in play for 1 turn cycle. We could also draw an untapped land source, especially one that's blue, so we could path and still hold up Archmage's Charm. Or remand. I guess if we miss on the land source, we can path and hold up remand, which is not the worst. Let's just let it go. And we are going to cash in our charm here. Our opponent on 6 cards means that they can easily discard the worst 2 cards in their hand and make our Esper Charm have little impact. So this is one of those cases where you want to just go ahead and draw. And that's what we do. Alright, there's our colored source. So do we just path now? I think we path on upkeep. So we'll pass it back. And we'll path so our opponent doesn't get the card advantage out of recurring a land here. Our hand is looking mighty powerful, I must say. We do need to continue to hit these land drops, but if we can manage to do that, then we might be pretty okay here. Tap out for something that we can remand. Uro. Do we want to remand that? I don't think that we do. We want to remand the flip side of it for sure, but not this one. Let's just let it go. And I think we're going to go ahead and cash in our Archmage's Charm to draw 2 at our opponent's instep here. Yeah. Probably fetch Shocking a Fountain. Our opponent could definitely be playing Field of the Dead, so we might need to make sure our verdict is online. Bog. That's kind of nasty. So our opponent is playing Rug lands. There's probably Dryad and Valcut in this as well. Flagstones. My goodness, my opponent is brewing a storm over here. Still casting Archmage's Charm to draw 2 here, I think. Let's just shock in the fountain. We're already below Scape Shift relevant life totals. Oh wait, actually we need to be floating blue here. So I'm so used to using Esper Charm for this. Alright, and we find another Esper Charm. And a Teferi that we can slam. Teferi into Remand seems pretty good. We might have problems if our opponent has exactly Dryad plus Valcut. I guess Dryad Valcut land would be the worst case scenario. I guess if they play a Dryad and go to play a Valcut, then we can just path the Dryad. And if they have Counter Magic, then we're kind of screwed, but I think our opponent's deck is unlikely to be playing Counter Magic. I'm going to make this gamble. If they play a Dryad, I think we just let it resolve. Alright, pass it back. We'll untap Hallowed Fountain and Watery Grave to represent the most possible interaction. I mean, since we're not going to be able to trigger a Revolt here, it doesn't make sense to hold up a potential Fatal Push here. So let's make our opponent have to play around second Path to Exile if they decide to play around that. Clearly, the line is to Field of Ruin our opponent's Flagstones of Trocaire. Clearly. Eladomi's Call. Yep, that's fine. That would have been a great spell snare target, but that's fine. And they play land already, so that's intriguing. Yeah, I don't know exactly what this could entail. Hopefully our opponent... Oh, Omnath. That's a great remand target. And they fetch. Okay, okay. Maybe they're going to bolt Teferi, and then... Nah, there's no way they can get back Uro this turn, right? I'll remand just about anything here at this point. Omnath. Hello, 4-mana spell. Say hello to a remand. Got him? Remand's too good, you know? It's just too good. Jace? Okay. We'll uptick here. And if we play Jace, we can untap 2 and hold up a remand plus a 2-mana spell. Not like it makes a huge difference. So I guess we just call Innate here. Sure. Let's get this Jace into play too, I suppose. Jace. I'm going to uptick it to keep it safe from a lightning bolt. And we'll uptick it on them since we have everything. Path. Well, this is the benefit of playing a nearly creatureless deck is we don't care about that at all. Untap our most useful color sources here. We can path our opponent's Omnath and still have remand backup. I don't mind that. Omnath, okay. If they play a fetch land, we'll wait until the fetch goes on the stack. They can draw a card, that's fine. We have plenty of card advantage. We are swimming in card advantage, so we can keep up with them drawing a card. We don't want them to wipe our board, if we can avoid it. Field the Dead. That's why we have Field of Ruin in our deck in the first place. So, do we need to respond to this? They're getting mana. And we don't want them to wipe our Planeswalkers, but they would have to do something in order to play an additional land drop here. Does that mean I should just go ahead and path? I guess we don't want to path, because if they have a second Omnath, that'll give them the opportunity to play it with, like, counter magic backup. So, we can Verdict and field their field in order to keep up here. Okay, so, yeah, we're definitely going for the path on this Omnath. Actually, are we? Or are we just casting Verdict? Maybe we want to Esper Charm to make them discard. I don't mind that at all. Let's get some cards out of their hand. Lands are even good things to hit here, in case we don't have the mana to blow up their field immediately. Let's just get their cards out of here. Discard Path and Plains. Of course, we did know they were drawing Path. That is one of the downsides of playing Esper Charm in this deck, but it's fine. Okay, Eliminate. So we're obviously upping Teferi, so let's do that. Alright, we'll play our island. Well, if it'll go. Alright, let's go ahead and verdict here. Sure. We'll do 0. I guess there's no point. We'll look at their top card again. Castle. You can have more lands, I think. That's probably fine. I mean, we're going to field them, though. We can do it in draw step, I suppose. Yeah. We'll draw step field them so we don't shuffle away their dead land card. And we'll pass it back. Untap. Untap. Alright, let's get this Field the Dead out of here before it does too much damage. And I guess we'll get basic planes here so we can threaten a double path, which we don't have, but they might have to play around it. Yeah, that's fine. We just have everything. I would just need to make sure we don't get punked out by something crazy. If they cast Uro, I will definitely remand it because that's how I feel. And if they do anything that we care about, we can force back, pitching either Charm or Snap. Probably Charm, I would think. Snapcaster being able to rebuy and still put something onto the battlefield to help us clock our opponent here, even though we're kind of getting some advantage with this Jace anyways, like, seems pretty good. Dude, Remand is just doing an insane amount of work against our opponent here. Okay, here comes Uro again. Or maybe not. Hour of Promise. Definitely want to force a negation that one. Boom. Pitching the Charm, I guess. Snap uses more of our mana, but that's probably acceptable. And this is why Force Negation is good. I didn't want to play a blue deck on this channel until I had access to Force Negation. There we go. And it brings the concession too. Although I can't really say that was all because of Force. But alright, so Mystical Dispute seems fantastic. Dispel seems good against our opponent's likely Aether Gusts. And in fact, Aether Gust itself seems pretty good against our opponent as well. Relic seems good against their Uro. And I don't know if they would be playing Mystic Sanctuary. It seems like they would not. I don't know. Maybe we're overboarding. Our Dispel is actually good. I don't know what all is in our opponent's deck, in all honesty. I didn't see them play any non-creature spells. They surely have Veil of Summer, though, right? We'll bring in Dispel just to play around Veil. I think it's worth it. Eliminate is good against our opponent's potential Wrenn and 6s, so I think we can't afford to cut it. It'll always hit Uro, which Fatal Push has Revolt to do that, so it's probably fine. We'll trim one path, as we have multiple other ways to pressure a Uro. If they happen to get one into play, then we're doing a bad job. Supreme Verdict, I like maybe one to clean up some field tokens if we don't have a field ruin immediately. Remand's amazing. Force Negation actually doesn't seem that great. It counters Hours of Promise, and that's probably about it. They also have Eladamri's Call, so they could be playing a Primeval Titan deck. Yeah, don't think we want Force anyways. They could be playing things like Explorer or Soccer Tribe Scout, and they do play Call, so maybe Snare's not that bad. I'll try it. Esper Charm's not as good against the Uro decks, since making them discard could be to their advantage. So I'll trim one of those. Maybe two. I don't know. They could be playing Choke as well, so maybe Esper Charm as a way to hedge against that is a good idea. Let's see. What do we want to cut? A Cryptic, in case we're pressured against, like, Veil of Summers and stuff. Spending all of our mana to cast a Cryptic doesn't seem that great. And we can trim an Archmage's Charm, probably. Although I think this card is quite good. It is a little slow. Let's see, what else? Got to cut two more cards, and I don't know what they should be. Alright, I guess it's Path. And maybe two Dispels is too many. I don't know. Also, actually, let's cut the Jace. We probably can't tap out for Jace in most circumstances. We can tap out for a Teferi because he's going to let us untap once he gets into play. That cannot be said about Jace. We'll keep this. We have a Spell Snare to catch our opponent's 2-drop if they have one. And I'm totally willing to pay 3 life to get a Watery Grave here if they do. Otherwise, we're gaining 3 life most likely by fetching a Watery Grave at the end of their turn. Raugrin Triome. The Jeskai one. Interesting. Esper Charm's a nice pickup here, too. We've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 curve. Too good. Too good. And our opponent is on nothing. Do we play around Growth Spiral here? I suppose we might as well. Because if our opponent had a Growth Spiral, I probably would Spell Snare it. I would not Aether Gust it, I think, but I would probably Spell Snare it, so... Another Triome. Don't know what else you would expect. This time the Teamer one. Okay, okay. Flagstone. So this is probably just Uro. Do we want to gust that? Put that one on top? Dryad. I think we probably want to gust that. Yeah, let's gust it. Of course, we're getting Watery Grave here. This will allow us to either Esper Charm to destroy the Dryad this upcoming turn, or maybe just let the Dryad resolve and draw some cards if we happen to find a removal spell for the Dryad. I don't know. We definitely don't want to let it resolve, because then they get an additional land drop out of it, so let's just gust now. They can put it on top or on bottom. They put it on bottom. Okay, so we don't have to worry about Dryad. It's looking more and more like Spell Snare is going to be a dead card here. Yeah, let's take some more damage, because that's what we like doing this game, apparently. Pass it back. I suppose we could have played the Flooded Strand, but... By saving it, we could be representing Mystic Sanctuary. Our opponent doesn't necessarily know that we're not playing a copy. We probably should be. I was just afraid the mana base would be too hard on it, but... Dryad again. Our opponent is potentially holding up a Dispute with their blue land. Do we want to play around that? We can't... Oh, they could also have a Veil. That would be pretty destructive. I think if they do have a Veil, they play land, then we might just Esper Charm to make them discard. Whatever. Let's go for the counterspell here. Use our mana. I guess this plays into specifically Mystical Dispute only if we draw with the Archmage's Charm. I guess, yeah, we don't have to play into Veil. Let's let it go. And just draw 2 on our opponent's instead with the Charm. Land, okay. This way our opponent's not getting value out of their Veil. They're only cycling it if they want to stop. Not stop, but if they want to cast it because we're casting a spell. Come on, okay. Let's just draw 2 here. Is it better? Yeah, let's keep the Esper Charm around. Oh, now we have a Mystical Dispute backup for their Mystical Dispute, if they have one. Field, let's save that one. And we could snap Gust. That still doesn't play around Veil, though. Let's just pass it back. By the way, Veil is one of the reasons why I stopped playing this deck in general. Is it's really difficult to beat Veil of Summer. I've always felt that Veil of Summer is kind of an egregious card to be in Modern, just because it's puts so much pressure on the black and blue interactive decks, where that pressure really wasn't warranted in the first place. I don't think we care about this. Let's let it go. Land. Oh, they have a Field of the Dead. That's great. But now we'd like to find one of those Supreme Verdicts. I feel like that's going to be a common theme with this deck. Are we doing anything here? I don't think so. I think we Charm to make our opponent discard. Actually, we could snap Gust the Ramanop and then use our Field to hit their... No, if they... Yeah, they can't get it back because this wouldn't be in play anymore. Yeah, so if we snap Gust this, we can shuffle it away with our Field of Ruin, and they're left with just Dryad and Zombie against our board. We could also just jam it to Fairy here. I don't know. I'm going to go for the Snapcaster Mage, which also conveniently trades with the Zombie here, so... It doesn't matter what land we get, so we'll just get an island. Snap Mage. I guess this is bad if our opponent finds specifically Valakut off the top, but it's fine. I don't know why my computer's being a little bit slow. And we'll guess the Excavator for sure. And we'll see what happens. I suppose if we were going to gust the Excavator, we should have done it before we were playing into Veil, so while it was on the stack, but... What's our opponent got? They're getting a Field the Dead trigger. Okay. Oh, they're fetching so they don't shuffle away their Excavator. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So now we get to answer the field. We'll still have a little bit of battlefield cleanup to do. But that's fine. We'll get the planes here, I suppose. Sure. Now, here we're truly playing into Veil, but I think our opponent would have played it already if they had it. Could be wrong, but... I mean... I guess we don't have to do this. Cancel. So, here's the thing. If we don't Esper Charm them, we run the risk of them having a Valakut in hand. Our Mystical Dispute's not countering anything anyways. We do get blown out by Veil of Summer, but I think we just have to go for it. Okay, and we'll pass it back. We still are losing on board, but we have the massive amount of card advantage here. We might be able to catch back up on board, especially with the help of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Oh, we got Skyclave Apparition and Omnath. Those are huge. That was a very good Esper Charm. Okay, so Bounce Land is not scary at all. I guess they can cycle a Triome, but, I mean, whatever. So it's kind of just like a redraw, but it uses a lot of their mana. It would be best case scenario if they cycled into a Omnath and played it, and we just top deck Supreme Verdict, and that was just, like, good game. Elvish Reclaimer. So that one is definitely a problem. Do we trade our Snapcaster Mage? Snapcaster could block some damage going to our big Teferi if we play it an uptick, so... I guess we don't. Oh, there's our removal spell to reward us for that play as well. So here's big Teferi. Uptick. And we're gonna definitely eliminate this Elvish Reclaimer on our instep. Can't let them search for a Valakut or a Field the Dead here. We'll pass it back. Oh, come on! No! Is that just lethal? Ah, that's lethal. Okay. They got us. They're one card. I think we would have won this game without that draw. Okay, so... Spell Snare seems awful. Let's get that one out of here. Esper Charm seems pretty good. I mean, it still plays into Veil. They could still have it, so let's not sideboard into that. I think they're creature-based enough that we want Path still. So let's trim a Remand. I mean, Remand's very good against their 3-drops, though. Let's trim a Mystical Dispute. Actually, Dispute doesn't seem that great against them. We'll keep the Charm. Charm seems very good against them. And this Verdict needs to come back, I think. And we'll run it like this. The Relics might be overkill for specifically Uro, but that's fine. We're on the play as well, which is a pretty big advantage. Snap keeping this hand. This is the kind of hand that is exactly why I like Esper. Dude, just all counter magic and an Esper Charm. Oh my goodness. Please never give me anything different than this. Alright, fetch land. Go. Definitely fetching a Hallowed Fountain. Definitely worth considering our opponent could still have Boil, which is also a card that our Dispels tag. Reclaimer. Yikes. Okay. Well, let's just fetch up a Hallowed Fountain here. So we have a decision, which is, do we try to get our opponent by gusting their Reclaimer in response to a activation? Or do we just gust it now? Then they redraw and replay it. I guess we just have to try to get them, and if they don't do anything, then we just fetch. Yeah, so let's just do this. If they play Flagstones and immediately go for the activation, then we're going to be handsomely rewarded. Otherwise, we're losing our 2 mana, but I guess we can still gust it on their end step. Oh, we can gust it right now. Done. Sold. What? This works out very well. If they have Veil, let's see, we want Hallowed Fountain. Yeah. If they have Veil, then they're not getting a activation from their Reclaimer, regardless. So, this is great. This is pretty much what we were hoping for. Whew! That is very nice. That feels great. And like I said, I think our opponent's unlikely to have any 2-drops here. So now we just get to take over the game with our Remands and Logic Knots. And we'll play the Swamp because if they don't play into our Remands and Logic Knots, then we just draw some cards at their instep and get ahead that way, as is typical with the Esper game plan. I think we're likely just throwing out a Remand here. Depends. If they play a Dryad, I might just go ahead and Logic Knot because it's more important to get it gone. Okay, that one, we're just going to... Let's Esper Charm to draw 2 cards right now. I'm not worried about them casting 1-drop. Actually, I guess they could have another Reclaimer, and that would be a problem. So let's just let it go. And we'll draw 2 cards on their instep. It's not like it's weak to anything. I guess it's weak to Mystical Dispute, but it's probably better if they dispute our Esper Charm than one of our counterspells. Just based on how this is kind of shaping up. Heal until instep. And they put it in a tap land anyway, so definitely was jumping the gun on the charm there, I think. But now we're not jumping the gun. So let's draw. Land's not ideal. All the lands in the world, definitely not ideal. But, let's play an island and pass. We could play a fetch land, but... I mean, it's better to save fetch lands for use with Jace, the Mind Sculptor, anyways. Which I think we sided out, so... you know, whatever, I guess. Play Omnath. Ooh, or Titan. That's even better. Now we can... Do we convert the Remand first? Or do we just Logic Knot this? I think we are in a situation where we have to Remand. If our opponent Veils through a Titan this upcoming turn, it's kind of sad, but... I mean, we're not going to get a better Remand target than that. Dang it, just all lands. Come on. Okay. Tarp it. Get our tap land out of here. Are we going to get tightened again with Veil backup this time? With only a measly Logic Knot in our hand? I mean, this is very obviously a situation where, regardless of whether they have Veil or not, or Mystical Dispute or whatever, we have no choice. We have to Logic Knot this Titan. It will kill us if we don't. Oh, wait. I don't think there's anything that we would want to play around that would make us pay. I guess we could play around Spell Pierce here. Is that crazy? I mean, it wastes our graveyard, but we're probably going to be exiling it at some point in time to a Relic of Progenitus anyways. So 1, 2, 1, 2. If our opponent has it, they have it. This also represents some counter magic from our side, other than just the Logic Knot, so... Alright, so we're not dead. Yet. Draw a path. That's not great. I think now is the time we start fetching to try to thin our deck and refill our yard for future Logic Knots. So let's go ahead and get this Delta out of here. It has the least targets. And we have no choice but to clock with Tar Pit, as we have nothing else happening. So, here goes. Swing. Hey-ya! We do have a path to answer our opponent's Uro if we absolutely have to. path. That's totally fine. There's no other targets for our opponent's path than our manlands and Snapcaster Mages, so it's fine. If they are ramping us a land and taking a card out of their hand, I'm happy for that. Eidolon. That probably hurts our opponent more than it hurts us, in all honesty. Land. Pass? Alright, I can live with this. Like I said, that probably hurts our opponent way more than it hurts us. Dispel. That doesn't work very well with Eidolon, but that's okay. Let's continue to thin our deck a bit. Definitely keep one fetch land in reserve for Jace. Wait, no. We definitely sided out Jace. Maybe that's a mistake. Leyline of Sanctity. Pfft, you got it. Please be my guest. Leyline of Sanctity away. If that's your one spell for the turn and swing for one, oh my goodness, I'm totally fine with this. Leyline of Sanctity is actively bad against Esper Draw-Go, by the way. I know that we're playing kind of a off-meta deck that you wouldn't really expect to see, but if you do see Esper Draw-Go, just know that Esper only ever plays discard spells, out of the sideboard. You're never really going to see Thoughtseize or Inquisition in the main deck of an Esper list. We're definitely drawing 2 with this Charm, I think. We got to try to find something to pull ahead here. Shark Typhoon. That is definitely a way to pull ahead, and let's just cycle it now. Do we? Yeah, I think we do. Get a clock on. It doesn't trade with Eidolon, but we don't care about that. We need the card velocity and the card to just get cashed in here. Removal spells is fine with me. Let's get a fetch land out there, I guess. I think its fetch targets are running very low. At this point, if our opponent does recast Uro, we might just eliminate it anyways and put it back in their yard because we might have to save Path to Exile for a Titan. So, if they find a Titan here, we might just be dead anyways. Hour of Promise. We can't answer that one at all. Okay, things are looking bad now. Now we do wish we had hard-casted the Shark Typhoon. That one is unfortunate. Oh, Valakut and Field of Dead. Only one field we might be able to handle. And they get some zombies out of this, but we can always block one zombie a turn and, be alright. Definitely don't want to get rid of our opponent's Eidolon. I think it's helping us. So, do we want to eliminate a zombie here? I don't hate it. Maybe we should have hard-casted Shark Typhoon. Well, we're just hanging tight here. Lands are still good draws for our opponent, sadly. We're eating one zombie a turn with our Shark, so Field of Dead is actually not the end of the world here since we made a 3/3 blocker. Hilarious, in my opinion. Reclaimer, that's fine. Our one spell will be Eliminate. Boom. Get out of here. Oh, there we go. Now we get a chance for redemption. Wait. Cancel. What is going on? Alright. Now, we do risk running this into our opponent's counter magic, but I'm just now or nevering it. I guess we could have eliminated the Eidolon first. Okay, it just happens. Alright, so now I think we're pretty heavy favorite to win. Still not wanting to get our opponent's Eidolon out of play here, I think. Remand is insane against an opponent's Eidolon. They cast anything and we're just like, Remand? And that was their entire turn. That was all. That's all that happened. Recast Uro. Now I might remand it, actually. Remand and Eliminate are pretty much the same card here, though. I guess Remand denies them an additional card draw, so let's Remand. We also might find a big Teferi to just completely put this game away. Path. Acceptable. Field. Somehow I'm not that worried about Field of Dead anymore. Hard-casted Shark Typhoon does do pretty well against Field of Dead, surprisingly. So we're going to not do anything other than... This was a bad attack by our opponent, by the way. We're going to eat this 2/2 zombie here and just not take any damage. Archmage's Charm. Love to see it. Alright, we are attacking with the 2/2. Start getting this game done. We get a card this turn and a card this upcoming turn, but no, whatever. Let's just sit on the counter magic. If our opponent has another Hour of Promise or something that we need the Archmage's Charm or like a Primeval Titan, then having the Archmage's Charm is going to be much better. You got it. With this going on, I think it's probably fine to Archmage's Charm at our opponent's instep. One Swept Heath. Yeah, and we definitely need to get another 3/3 in play here, I think. We could gain control of a zombie. Yeah, let's draw some cards. We're gonna draw not lands this time. I'm sure of it. Oh, actually, those lands are perfectly fine by me. Okay, let's get this Colonnade into play. Let's draw some cards with Esper Charm, because this is our one spell this turn anyways. We let them cycle a Veil of Summer if they have it, but that's why we're not targeting them to discard, as if that makes any difference anyways. And let's just send in both of these sharks. I want to take as little damage as possible. And now we have Field of Ruin, which is going to be great against our opponent's Field of the Dead. Once we get our Field of Ruin into play, of course. I might be at the point of just firing off random Path to Exiles here. Uro, you got it. Be my guest. We have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 on board right now. So we're 5 short. Oh, we have Colonnade. So we can path one of their things and have lethal. If they don't have interaction, I guess they could have a path. No. They can't have a path because then we just dispel it. So block. Block. Come on. Oh, we should have pathed something before those all died. That kind of is sad. Alright. Well, I'm not going for lethal. Again, I think it's really important that our opponent keeps this Eidolon in play. Let's get this Field of Ruin out here. Do we activate anyways? Let's not. Let's see, we hit them for 6, that's 10. We have 8. If we lose a shark, then this is probably fine. Let's leave the 3/3 up, though. Yeah, let's... Oh, well, let's cast our one spell this turn, I think. Our opponent probably doesn't have an instant that punishes us, so let's draw 2 cards. Uh-oh. Do they have an instant that punishes us? Eladamri's Call. That kind of punishes us, I guess. I guess they can get a Titan into play now, but all of our sharks have flying, so they get a Dryad and start playing land drops, that could be a problem. Okay. Archmage's Charm. Well, that fixes that problem, so. Let's get rid of a Dispel here. I mean, we probably could get rid of land as well. It just doesn't matter. We probably need to fire off this Field of Ruin, I should think. If our opponent casts Dryad, then I guess we go after the Valakut. And you know what I just realized? It never mattered, but our opponent... We couldn't have targeted our opponent with Esper Charm any of these times because of their leyline. But it doesn't... Like I said, it doesn't actually matter, so... Dryad. That one's probably fine now. They don't even have a follow-up here, so... As soon as we get priority, we'll just path this. Okay, yeah, that's the match. Okay, so we got a match 2-1. Looks like this deck does have some legs. Obviously, anywhere where Remand is going to be good, this deck will probably shine. Those slow mid-rangey decks that don't really pressure you that much and just try to do something arbitrarily powerful, but then you just stop them, and they're not doing it particularly quickly or efficiently, they're just doing it. I definitely see that being a good matchup for this deck, so... Anyways, long matches. I'm going to go ahead and cut the video right here. If you liked what you saw or like my content, find it informative, enjoyable, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm not going to say anything else about it. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.